What's up, traders? Anthony Crudele here, and thank you for tuning in to the Futures Radio Show podcast. Today, my guest is Chief Product Officer at Trading Technologies, Jason Shaffer. You guys all know I always talk about execution. I've said many times before, my edge in trading is my execution. And I looked around the industry to see, is there anybody really talking about some of the tools that traders have at their disposal when it comes to executing their trades? And I'm talking about all of the different order types. What's so interesting about my career is that I was able to see pit trading to the beginning of electronic trading and to what electronic trading is today. And one thing that was extremely interesting to me was how so many different types of order types have come about over the years. And as many of you know, Trading Technologies is a sponsor of the show. I've been a user of Trading Technologies since 1999, and I thought of no one better than the Chief Product Officer of TT to come on the show today and to talk with all of us about all the different order types and tools out there for day traders. We also talked about ADL, which is an algo that you could use on TT. We talked about automated trading, really just everything under the sun about execution. Futures Radio Show is sponsored by CME Group. They are the world's leading and most diverse futures and options exchange. CME Group's markets help individuals and businesses around the world effectively manage risk. For access to free educational tools and resources for the active individual trader, please visit activetrader.cmegroup.com. You can listen to Futures Radio Show podcast anywhere where podcasts are available, but if you want to watch Futures Radio Show, you can check us out on YouTube or anthonycrudele.com. This show is also sponsored by Trading Technologies, TradeStation, and FTSE Russell. The Russell 2000 is a key benchmark for small cap U.S. stocks. Be sure to check out the E-Mini Russell 2000 future symbol RTY and Micro E-Mini Russell 2000 future symbol M2K. To learn more about FTSE Russell and their products, please visit FTSERussell.com. Jason, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's great to speak with you today. Everybody that listens to the show know I talk about execution all the time. To me, it's the most important part of my trading. I've said this a bunch of times on this show and other interviews I've done, and I always say that my edge is in my execution, the way I execute my strategy. But we really never talk about, I think in general, in media, I consider myself media, podcast, the platforms and all the different order types and the ways we could go about execution, speed of execution. There's just so many things about the basic functionality of executing trades that I don't think is just talked about enough. Today we're going to talk about a lot, pretty much everything. Everybody, if you're listening, obviously is all going to be about execution today because I think this is such an important topic. And Jason, with your background, so you were a trader and an engineer, and now you're working with TT. And what role are you working with at TT?
So my title is Chief Product Officer, but I kind of get involved in lots of different aspects of what we do. But at the core, it's product management. Talking about prioritizing work and defining what we're going to be building for customers.
Yeah. So you work directly with the traders, and you then talk with everybody at TT, the engineers, and then you help build everything that the traders are looking for, basically.
Yeah. I not single-handedly, but the team. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to start off with talking about is just the different types of orders that there are out there. And people, just to be transparent here, I've talked about this a lot. TT is a sponsor of the show, but I've also been using TT since 1999. And there's a reason why I use TT to execute futures. And it's just because the functionality of it, the speed of it, the different types of order types, pretty much anything I want to do as a trader, I can achieve on TT. And I think that a lot of traders really just look at limit, buy, sell, stop market, stop limit. Those are just the basics pretty much everybody knows. But there are so many other different types of orders out there that you could put in, to whether you're a scalper like I was for a bunch of years, used a bunch of different order types on TT. then you can get into, if you want to be a spreader, you guys have the AutoSpreader. There's just so many different things that we're going to talk about today. But first, the order types. Mm-hmm. You've been in this business a long time, and you have seen the transformation really from pit to screen, and then from screen in its infancy to what it is now. Talk to us just about some of the order types, and even get into the complex one that are even available now to electronic traders.
Yeah. So the way I kind of think about it, what people were doing when I first started trading, the ladder was kind of everything, right? That was still the major innovation, and just being able to view that and trade in the ladder. And I think when we talk about execution tools, there's like two aspects to it. How can you improve what you're already doing manually, right? If your goal is to trade at a very precise time, or trade when a very precise volume, triggers, those are types of things that you can have a machine do much better, much more efficiently. And then the other aspect about execution tools is about scale. So if you're trading one market very effectively, but it takes all your attention, but you know exactly what you need to do, but you're executing manually, you just don't have the capacity to do that same process in 30 different markets. But if you know the parameters and the execution you want to perform, you can use order types and execution tools to help you scale that out across more markets. So what would one person can do manually, they can really expand that using tools like this.
And I talked about just the basic ones that I think everybody uses, but I wanted to expand all the users out there, all the traders out there, and understand how many different types of order types that there are. I mean, I think a common one I see a lot of traders talking about now, which didn't even exist when I first started, was like a bracket orders, right? You're going to work a bid and an offer. The minute the bid gets hit, you're going to put an offer in and you're going to put a stop. And there's all sorts of ways to do that. And there's ways now with ADL, which we're going to get into, to be able to program how you want to actually execute. But get into, and I wanted to really, get into the nitty gritty here. What are some of these new types of orders that are available on a platform like TT that, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, obviously 15 years ago, there wasn't a ton out there, but now that are available to traders that they could use to help them execute their strategies better?
Yeah. So just starting simply, splitting up orders so you're not disclosing your full quantity. Like we would call those slicers. So it's, you can slice out an order by volume, you can slice it out by time. There's a whole array of just these, slicer type execution tools. There's timing of orders. I want to perform a certain action at a certain time. There's, like sniper type order types where you can only show yourself in the market when certain conditions are met, so that you're not informing the order book. Some very popular algos get into depth-based triggers. So if I'm very simply looking at the ask, but I don't want to pay up into a really strong market. If it's starting to slip away, then pay up. These are all kind of concepts and ideas that have been around for a long time, but these would kind of be the basic order types that TT offers. And now where it gets a little interesting, you start to combine these things. So you can time a slicer, you can make those components dependent on the depth of the market. You can start using them in unique ways. You can start having execution in one market be dependent on a different market, or something that's happening in a correlated or related product. So I think, and that kind of covers the basics. Now, you mentioned ADL and what you can do there, and just as an introduction, so ADL is a fantastic execution tool, and we'll get into as deep as you'd like into what you could do there and what it makes available. But viewing the TT order types is kind of the starting point, but then everyone's got opinions. Oh, I like this tool, but I really wish it could do this. I really wish in that scenario I could actually do this instead. So like one that came up this week, right? As you said, like we're talking to traders every day about how we can make our tools better and more effective for them. So there was one on an iceberg. So you're slicing your order into the market, but then if the market just crosses the entire order, right? Instead of continuing to fire off those slices, recognize that and say, oh, the market's come to me. I can now fulfill all of it, send the rest to market. It's just it's a small nuance, but a little improvement and a tweak that somebody wanted to make on that execution tool. Those are the types of things that if you take our kind of baseline execution tools, but then want to take them to the next level, we either offer those kind of tweaks and enhancements, or you can introduce them in the context of ADL and tweak them even further and customize them even further.
What I really want to get through to all the traders listening to this is I want to bring everybody up. I want to get everybody better at execution. It's really been a goal of mine since I started this show, since I've been on social media, is the people to understand execution. I think that execution is more important than any chart or any fundamental, because if you can't execute the strategy you want, what good is it, right? And there's so many traders that have strategies that, a lot of point and click traders I'm talking to specifically, that I think if they started to understand different order types, to really let the technology help them and assist them in what they're doing. I'm somebody who believes that discretionary trading will always be here, but we have to use and embrace technology to help us with our execution, because the traders on the other side of a lot of these trades are computers, and you're not going to just sit there and try to buy the offer or sell the bid. I've done this myself. I was a big scalper for a lot of years, and you're not going to be able to beat the speeds of the machines. They're machines, and it's okay, and it's fine, right? I'm not here to compete with them, but if I want to execute at a price, or if I want something to happen, I think too many traders go too manual with everything. And this is something that I have done, and I've said this for a while on social media. I've become more of a hybrid, where I'm discretionary, but I'm still using some systematic when it comes to my strategy, and also some, using some of these different types of orders, like you were talking about. And I want to talk, because you talk with so many different customers at TT, the range, right? The whole range of customers, from the guys that are just the day traders like myself, up to the props and the big firms, and the guys that are spreading and whatever it is that they're doing. I want to focus on the day traders.
Yeah.
What are some of the orders that the listeners out here can really consider starting to use? Because you're working really mostly with professionals, very little retail, beginner traders probably at TT. Everybody, majority of them, I would say, have been trading a little bit of time. So you're dealing with a customer, a trader who really understands the market and understands trading.
Right.
So you get to pick their brains and make them better.
Right.
What are some things you can share with our audience, some tools that maybe could help them become better day traders?
Yeah. Okay. So we've been through this pattern a lot when we sit with professional traders who are gaining access to the TT tools for the first time. We kind of have a conversation like this, like, hey, we have ADL, we have execution algos, we have AutoSpreader. It's like all these great things. They're so fast. But then, time and again, we see the lack of uptake and engagement out of the gate. And so one way we've found to kind of help bridge the gap between how can I take what I'm doing and start to leverage some of these tools, it's fairly straightforward. And we would say, think about what you're already doing. Think about what you are doing that's successful, right? Because, if you're trading full-time or in a meaningful amount of your time, you're probably doing something right. Something's working. The execution tools are not to give you something new. They're not to give you, some new trade strategy that, that will change your trading or improve it. It's thinking about breaking down what you're already doing that's working into component steps, and then thinking about what are parts of that? What are parts of my strategy or, conditions? Right. So you were asking like the tools that we have. I mentioned ADL, but like another feature that we've worked on recently in the last 5 years is helping, even within the front end, build conditional statement. So like if this happens in one market, or if this happens with my order, now do this, like place an offsetting order, whatever. So think about how would you react to certain scenarios, and is it market movement, is it time, is it I get a fill here, now I want to go do this, and break that down. And if you can break it down into logical steps, now you have a concept that you can look to automate, right? And that's where you can look to use the tools that we have that maybe they satisfy that, or you could look to build something custom. And you mentioned me getting my background as an engineer, right? And so this is what engineers do all day. Like, how do I take a problem, break it down, and then find a solution for it? You don't have to be a trained engineer to be able to take advantage of some of these things. And that's where, we spend so much time making these things more accessible, more approachable, and more applicable to guys like yourself, the guys that are actually out there trading, trying to improve their execution, and run a business. And that's where, anyway, so the concept is if you can break down what you're already doing, that's where you kind of open up the opportunity to bring in some automation, to bring in some execution, to either make your life a little easier or improve what you're already doing manually.
That's the point, everybody, is to enhance your strategy. We're not talking about charting here. We're not telling you where to buy or where to sell. When we talk about execution, we talk about taking your ideas and getting the most out of them. This is the thing. I really look at this as discretionary automated trading, because you're still thinking about what it is you want to do, and you're letting your strategy do what you want it to do. I mean, look at how many times do I say we're our worst enemies? I mean, I can't tell you how many trades I screw up on a weekly basis, and I should be doing more automation. A little old school in me still fights it, but I do use some of it. And when I do, it's funny, when I do use it, I see the light every time, and I'm going, why aren't you using this more? It's a process. But getting back to just really enhancing your strategies as a trader, what I want to talk about a little bit is, so I want to go into an example, and I'm going to use my own personal trading lately. And this is something I should be doing that is something I'm watching manually, and I want to see if we can execute it through like something with TT. I've been buying gold in the dip on the dips, been getting beat up on it. I'm fully transparent about that. Told everybody it's been tough, but the one thing that's been keeping me from losing too much, in all honesty, is watching the bond market. It makes a new low. If I'm long gold, I'm just hitting the bid and getting out of gold before I even gets to my stop, and it's been saving me money. I've been wrong, but I've been losing less. To me, that makes me feel better because I know I'm wrong in the trade, but at least I'm covering it before it's getting to my full stop. And I'm just, I'm using that as an example. Is that something that can be done?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's just a few thoughts about how to even execute that, right? So, I mean, I'd even start in the simplest format, right? So you're trading gold, but you're watching bonds, right?
Yeah.
So you're laser focused on gold. A very simple, very approachable. You can set up alerts, right? I mean, that's not really new, but you can say, ping me, play a sound, or put a pop up in my face if bonds are going to get to this price level, because that means something I'm going to do over here. So now you can narrow your focus, right? That's another thing. You're fighting to not be distracted, right? So that's an approachable first step. The next thought is that you can have conditional orders, right? You can say, I want to work my order in gold, or I have this position. I want to keep it unless bonds hit a certain price. And you can say, like, I want to enter a sell order in gold, but my trigger is going to come from bonds. And that's something you can build on TT with our conditional orders, right? So that's not, no programming, no ADL. That's just something with clicks. You can set that up.
Yeah.
We have tutorials, and we could maybe follow up to this call and show the exact steps of how you do that. And then the third idea that comes to mind, you could take it to something like ADL, and you know what, say, I'm in this trade. Every time I'm in this trade, if bonds drop 3 ticks, I want to close it out. I want to close out my gold trade. You can set up that type of order where you just hit go, and then you're confident that you're going to keep that gold position unless you hit that threshold in bonds, and then you're going to be automatically taken out. Now you can go walk your dog or do whatever you need to do. We could keep going too, but
well, I mean, this is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to elevate the traders to understand that if you find something that's working in a correlation or something that you're looking at, and I know that you can take this even to an indicator, right? If you see an indicator doing X, you can program that. There's really no limit to, I think, what you can do. And I know we're talking specifically about TT, and like I said, I'm a user of it, and I just think that other traders out there, of course, you use this on any platform you want. I want to expand your thinking and understand that these are the possibilities, and these are the things that are going to help you grow as a trader. Because let's face it, everybody. I mean, discretionary day trading, point and click, I believe it's always going to be here, but as time goes by, I'm just, and I've been convinced of this because I've seen it from when it started until it is now, you're going to have to use some technology. Whether it's with your indicators, alerts, or something, I believe you need to embrace that. And there's going to be some people that don't even look at a chart and just go up there and buy and sell, and maybe they make money. But majority of the people are not. And what you want to do is you want to get an edge wherever you can. And there's nothing worse. I know all of you out there are thinking about this. I've been exactly right in what I wanted to do, and it didn't work that way because you're so, honed in on just pointing and clicking in your areas, or for me, looking at the bonds, and then all of a sudden I missed the bonds, held the low, and then the gold popped, and I wanted to add to it, and I didn't get it. I mean, there's things that you can do to help you get the most out of what your ideas are, and that's really the goal here. You mentioned ADL. Some people probably don't even know what it is. What is ADL?
So it stands for Algo Design Lab. It was a product that was built by a company called Ticket, and then TT acquired them probably about 10 years ago now. So it is a visual programming language, where we build you we provide you a sandbox, and then you visually build logic into the canvas, and then once you're happy, you can test it in sim, you can run it, you can watch the values flow through this thing. You can then hit deploy, and then it deploys on the TT servers, and now you can use it like a black box algo, like an execution algo. You can think of it. I would always consider it as like if you find something that works manually, you want to figure out how to make it more efficient, to scale it up, to optimize it. ADL is a great tool for essentially prototyping ideas. Like, hey, I saw this condition happen. The next time that happens, I want to take some action. Like, it's really great at kind of rapidly prototyping these ideas, putting them into execution logic, and then putting that into production. And we have a whole suite built around it to make sure that you're not doing anything you really shouldn't be doing. It has some protection. So it's a much more accessible way to build custom logic that otherwise would only be attainable if you were a developer and you could write C++ and you had a server to deploy that thing onto. It's really trying to make this customized logic accessible for anyone.
Thinking about an algo, and I know I'm not somebody who I've created some algos, not physically typed them out and put them together, but I've created some ideas and put them together. And, it's always back to the drawing board for me with them. I still run them sometimes myself. I think it's a great thing to be able to do as a trader. And I know most of the traders out there are maybe not discretionary, but they're systematic and whatever it is. But creating an algo isn't complicated anymore. It just isn't. And I think that so many people think of it like, oh, this big undertaking. Look, I am, like I said, I've created a few of them in terms of just my ideas, and I've had people help me. And I'm surprised at how fast they're built. And I mean, sometimes they're done in like a couple of hours. It's like, wow. And with ADL, I know with TT, I've watched a lot of people use it. You guys have showed me a bunch of times. It's really just that simple of just taking your idea and putting it into play. And I think that more traders out there, the future, algos are not the future, they're the present. They're going to be here. They're not going away. And I think one thing for traders out there that are pointing and clicking a lot, to allocate some of their time and to allocate some of their capital towards this, I think is important. I have personally done it, and what it's helped me is sometimes I just like watching an algo go small on a strategy just to see how it's executed, to be able to I get ideas from that and how I can get better at it. I mean, it's not just about, I'm trying to get everybody to understand that, once again, it's about elevating your execution, getting better at what your ideas are, because how many traders I know have great ideas, but they can't make money trading. And you say to yourself, why? Well, it's because they get in the way of it. We've all been there. I get it. It's not easy, but that's the big part of this. And you deal with that by talking with all the clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's such a great point that we haven't even touched on yet, but it's also, it may not be that you need help scaling your strategy. It may not need help may not be that you need help executing it. It may be that you just need to get out of your own way. Say if
yeah.
And that, you mentioned bracket order right in the beginning. Bracket order might be the perfect example. And so what it is, you enter an order. As soon as it gets filled, it gives you a profit and a stop loss. And if that's your strategy, if it goes up 15 ticks, I'm out. If it goes down 5, I'm out. And now they're in there, and all you have to do is not touch it. Just let it sit, right? You're not tweaking it. You're not analyzing every tick. You're not stressing out. It can allow you to take a step back in some cases.
It's amazing to me what that will teach you. I use them when I first started to use them. Just the patience of watching and waiting, and you realize how intense I really am over the button. When I know that my stop is right there, it's there to protect me. Like I said, with gold lately, I haven't been going to my full stops. I've still been working stops in because I've been continuing to get stopped out. But I'm just going to the market right away when I'm wrong. But even for holding winners. How many people write into the show and say, Anthony, talk about holding winners longer, or how do I do that? I'm covering them before my targets, or I don't know if it's going to go up any further, and then I cover it just because I want to make the money. This is part of execution, everybody. This is where you could start getting, put some rules in and create not necessarily just a 10-tick trailing stop or something. You can create all sorts of things in this, and that's really the point of us talking today. We're going to pause here for 30 seconds, Jason. And when we come back, a couple things I want to talk about that I think, once again, I really never hear anybody talk about. The speed of execution. Okay. I've talked so many times on how TT is the fastest commercially available futures trading platform. I've said it a bunch of times. And how fast is it? So we'll get into that. How fast is a trade executed? But does an internet connection matter nowadays? Everybody's either on a platform, or they're using, a browser. Does that matter? Does a PC matter? I mean, how much are we talking here? And I know that you know the answers to that. And then I also want to get into something we kind of talked about, and that's auto spreading. I think this is a topic. This is something that I'm going to be doing. I'm actually working on some things myself in AutoSpreader. So everybody, we're going to pause for 30 seconds, and we'll be right back.
Get S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 by the slice. Just 1/10 of the pie. Trade the tastiest index futures, micro E-Mini options with TradeStation. Get a piece of the pie now.
Trade the global markets with Trading Technologies. TT is the world's fastest commercially available futures trading platform, now with integrated tools for advanced options trading, cryptocurrencies, and trade surveillance. Learn more at tryttnow.com. Welcome back, traders. Jason is still here with us. Jason, I left everybody with a few things that we're going to talk about today. The first thing is speed of execution. I've done countless times I've talked about how fast TT is. How fast is it really?
So, I mean, we talk about this a lot. In raw numbers, right? We've, for anyone that's followed TT's history, right? We spent the last decade building out a brand new platform from scratch with speed at the heart of everything we do. So in raw numbers, when we talk about speed, we're saying our server side execution tools are co-location throughput. We're measuring in microseconds, either single digit microseconds or, like 20 to 30 microseconds on like tick to trade type things. So to put that in perspective in X trader days and what we see with most competitor systems that are built on legacy technology that's now about 20, 25 years old, they talk in the, hundreds of millisecond range. So on XTrader, a good performance, round trip time, we'd be talking 200 milliseconds. Now we're talking 20 microseconds. So it's just the whole order of magnitude smaller. And, the idea is we just need to keep moving our client base as close to zero as possible, right? It's been this, decades long march to just like instant, and the people still making money purely on speed alone is down to, that's been gone for a while, right? So it's not about winning on speed. It's just about being in the game and being able to execute confidently, being able to compete with everyone else out there.
I 100% agree. I made a living based upon speed. I was a fast point clicker. The minute the S&P minis came out, that's how I made my money. I did that for a long time, till obviously the machines got quicker than I did. Now speed trying to make a couple of ticks is not my business anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. But still want to get the best fill possible, because tick here, tick there adds up, especially when we're trading every single day. And that's why I use TT for most of my futures trading. I also use TradeStation, just so you know. I use two platforms, but I use TT for a lot of it. And a big part of having your order sit like a stop, that's something that I think a lot of traders say, well, I got blasted on the stop. This is something where if you're trading a volatile market like the NASDAQ, or even gold lately, when they're running through the bids, I can't get away from it, Jason. It's driving me crazy. Is this thing ever going to bounce? Anyway, but that's where that speed matters. If you're looking to get out of these really volatile markets, you're going to pick up a couple of ticks here and there, possibly. There's no guarantee, you know what I mean? But the point of the matter is you want to be a little bit quicker when that kind of stuff happens, especially busy markets. But I also mentioned internet connection and PC. How much does that matter?
Yeah. So, more and more, it doesn't matter, right? And so there's some caveats, right? So with the
Crazy.
TT platform, we let you trade from your phone anywhere in the world. All these order types we're talking about, AutoSpreader, you can do pretty much all of this stuff over a cell phone connection. So getting orders into the market, it doesn't matter so much. Now there's two things I'd say. When you're sitting at a screen and you're watching price action and you're responding to, price movement, or you're visually responding to things, it still matters, right? Human perception is 300 milliseconds. So it still matters, right? You want crisp updates. You want to not be behind. And that's where, part of the broader TT platform was building out this global infrastructure where we own every component, from the software that sits on your desktop all the way through to the exchange. And we own the entire network of delivering market data to you and taking your order and getting it to the exchange. So we talk about like speed and investments we've made. That's one of them. But another meaningful change is, we talk about how you can now trade in a browser, and, we have desktop applications for, really large use cases. But we've moved a lot of the, what we call, business logic, execution logic, anything that's processing intensive. We've moved into colo facilities. And that another reason why you benefit when you can automate things is that you take that out of your own mind, off of the screen, and you put it in a colo where it's sitting right next to the exchange matching engine, and it can take action very quickly. So, if your internet connection all of a sudden, gets real slow and your updates are now many seconds in delay, you might miss that turn that you had wanted to click on. I think to the extent you're still just staring at a screen, manually reacting to visual cues, it still matters. It's going to matter. But we've, as much as we possibly could, anything that's latency sensitive, we've pushed off into the cloud. And XTrader, those days, a lot happened on that client machine, which is why you saw people with $10,000 trading machines under their desk and giant monitors.
I was one of them.
Yeah, so was I. And that, you can still do that. You can still have, 16 monitors and pull TT up and watch every market on earth. But there's a limitation to what you can even comprehend. So I'd say less and less. The power of your PC, the power of your interconnection matters, and if you can find ways to basically negate those effects entirely by automating more, you can trade from a laptop, trade from a coffee shop.
The mobile on TT, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, the way it updates, it's incredible. The phones are incredible these days, and how they could even handle that kind of order flow. I remember when I first got my first trading computer was a Gateway, and I remember plugging it into, was it ISDN and 56K? I mean, I know that's way back for some of you, but it's amazing to me when I see the dome on there, and I'm going, this is just unbelievable. I still love it. I like watching it. But, I want to talk a little bit about AutoSpreader, because this is something that personally I have used a lot over the years. Used to trade NASDAQ versus S&P all the time. Traded some Russell versus S&P. I'm working on a couple of other things right now. I'm just trying to tweak them where it's like gold and bonds, because there's these correlations. There's so much going on even with the dollar right now in all these different markets. So much of what I see is really, a lot of what I see right now is a spread game. One's outperforming one versus the other. And, I like to always trade the outperformer, but it's nice to sometimes have a hedge, because when they unwind some of these spread days, it's like then the other one way outperforms. I could go on and talk about how it's a challenge to be able to execute some of the things that I know are happening. And it's just like, they're just happening. A big part of that to me is starting to use more of an AutoSpreader. Explain to everybody what AutoSpreader is, and I think we'll talk a little bit about how I think people can start to use something like that.
Okay, so just as an introduction, the AutoSpreader concept is taking two markets, two or more markets, and combining them, trading the spread, trading the differential between them, and viewing that as if it was a single, exchange listed instrument. And that was the big innovation, right? So TT innovated the ladder, the DOM, and then added this AutoSpreader where you can take any two or more products, you can trade the differential, and you can view it in the DOM and click trade it just like it was another market. And I think what your observation is exactly my experience, that spreading and trading correlated markets and natural hedging related to positions that you want to take, that so much of the volume in our industry is traded that way, and it's pushed through spreads and correlated products. And so AutoSpreader has just been a great tool for TT for many years. It was, when I first started trading, almost all my trading was through AutoSpreader. And so it's a tool I've used extensively in the past. It's another tool that, kind of like ADL and the execution algos, we've continued to invest in to kind of iterate on, take feedback and improve it. I mean, it's another one that's gotten, orders of magnitude faster so that you can stay competitive. And so, I think there's a lot of really interesting things you can do, and finding unique ways and unique perspectives on the way instruments trade relative to one another it can be an endless source of edge and opportunity.
One of the ways that I really have been, like I said, I've been exploring is, if you think there's an inflation play out there, how are you going to play that? Instead of just being long gold, can I be short something and other things like that? Because part of what I'm seeing right now is, and it's always really the case, you kind of understand the macro theme of everything that's going on. And, when I get into my macro themes, I of course go to the technicals. Most people know this about me, and then I'll use it to execute. But being in outrights, it's tough, man. Because it's like, I feel that eventually I'll be writing a lot of this stuff, and I'm good at managing my risk, but I'm looking for other ways to be a part of these trades. So this way, when these bigger moves start to happen, and they might happen overnight or you don't catch them, going back to like the Russell versus the S&P is something I was really looking at, and I kept buying the Russell, staying long outrights, clipping me, eventually caught a couple of big runs in it, covered it. And at the time I was thinking about it, I go, I should probably just sell some S&P against these, because I've now got the Russell pinned in such a great spot. Why not sell some S&P against it? And the Russell exploded, and I wasn't in it. And it was like I had been buying it for months. I still made money on it, but the point of the matter is going back to enhancing my strategy, enhancing my ideas. And AutoSpreader allows you to do things where you can find correlations with or against to really be able to be in a trade, to have a stronger hand in a trade. I'm not really an options person. I've tried back and forth with this. It's just, I struggle with it. I'm much more of somebody who likes outrights, but spreading I feel better about. And you also can add to spreads, I think, because as they start to go, you can really start to go. Like if you spread it right and you look at it, however it is, because also explain that you could do 5-2, like I used to do NASDAQ 5-2 to the S&P. And, there's all sorts of different ways you can do this. If you find that balance, yield curves, the list goes on. I just think it's a tool that, once again, traders should be looking at to just get better at the ideas you already have.
Right. So, man, there's so many good points you made in there. Some of the things, these are applicable to me, and I see this with clients now, right? So if you're trading one exchange or two exchanges, there's only so many listed instruments with volume that you may have access to, right? But you're probably looking for particular setups. You're probably looking for particular patterns or something. Being able to view and visualize the spread markets, it blows open the potential that you can do. And like you said, you can change ratios around, and you can look for your types of setups and opportunities. And it creates a whole new world where you can find what you're looking for. So you can be more picky in your trading, right? So I did a lot of cross exchange trading. I did a lot of like Eurodollar and Treasury futures spreading. And it was, if depending on what you're good at, you can go and try and find spread markets that cater to what you're good at. And I don't mean just like, arbitrage type stuff. Like there was a while I was doing like yen and Swiss spreads, and it was for the exact opposite reason. That thing would blow out massively, and then it would consolidate, and then it would blow out again. And it was like these great breakout trades that, just being able to see that chart and trade the spread, it presented opportunities that weren't otherwise happening anywhere else in any other product.
Absolutely. I mean, it just goes back to, I just keep drilling this today. So many traders have great ideas, and they just struggle with the execution side of things. And hopefully traders today, we open the door to some new ideas for you and elevating and enhancing your execution. Jason, where can people learn more about you and everything you guys got going on at TT?
Yeah, so we got tradingtechnologies.com. You can reach us there. Our trading platforms at trade.tt. It should be easy enough to engage with some of our material, and you can always reach us fairly easily online as well.
Jason, man, I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for joining me on Futures Radio Show.
Thanks, Anthony. It's been great to be here. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review on iTunes. You can listen to all of our episodes on futuresradioshow.com, iTunes, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.